Hello, everyone, and welcome to another chat with my good friend Giorgio. So today we're going to follow up to our series about making invitations to allow your opponent to attack you with the question, I set them up and they don't do anything. What do I do now? My plan's in pieces. What do I do? Coach, please tell me.
Well, hi everybody. This is Giorgio talking to you. I hope you got used to my presence and to my comments. This is not an easy question to answer because you have to consider many possibilities and many aspects. By the time that I provoke my opponent and my opponent is not reacting, there are two possibilities. That one is I'm not provoking my opponent in the right way that he feels threatened, or two, is not scared by my threatening because he's just waiting for me to react. And this is something like that you have to take the risk and to try different options. That is why today we are trying to analyze some of these options. Since epee is such a complicated weapon with many endings, the problem is always open. There are so many things that you can find out yourself if you've got the instrument to think and to analyze the situation.
Yeah, without the right of way, there were a lot of crazy options, right?
Yes, exactly. So the thing is, in order to follow some ideal connection between the interview number one and interview number two, which are always analyzing a special kind of actions, which was the Paris sixth riposte to the chest, then well, first of all, I have to drive my opponents to attack me, and it's very important to drive how to drive my opponent. And even if let's say that I already had a lesson with my coach, and I have been trying to try this movement in front of a mirror, because to try this kind of invitation or feint in front of the mirror is very important in order to realize whether your movement they are real or easy detectable as a fake movement. So
yeah, that's yeah. If a trap is obviously a trap, it doesn't work, right? Your opponent doesn't want to come. Oh no, nope.
So let's think for a while that let's think for a while about the lies that they are telling the small children. The small children, they are they are telling very funny lies that as a parents or as a uncle, you pretend to believe these lies, but you immediately detect that they are lies. And so how to avoid that our lies they are easily detectable like a young child lies? Well, first of all, you have to look at your lies in front of a mirror and realize whether you are able to lie in front of your opponent or not. Then with the help of your coach, he will tell you if it's looking like a real feint or provocation or not. But
Yeah,
still,
if you want to pretend to make a mistake, it better look like a real mistake and not
absolutely.
like a.
Yeah, this
oh.
is yeah. Ooh, this
Oh, hello, please hit me. No chance.
doesn't work. Yeah.
No.
So you have to learn how to be a good actor and you have to improve, and this is coming little by little, according also to the different kind of opponents you are in front of. This is something that is coming with experience, and this is what the experience is. This is why the experience is helping you to perform properly your preparations. So let's say that I am making an opening by stepping forward and opening the line, and I am provoking my opponent to hit me straight because I shorten the distance a little with my half step forward, that we can also call appel in order to make it a bit more technical. So I make a half step forward, because it's important when you are doing this kind of provocations or preparation that you do them with a half step forward. And for half step forward, I don't mean as a tiny step forward. I mean just a movement with the front foot, keeping the back foot on stand, because this way I can just move my weight forward, but still my back foot is ready to help me to move my balance backward and to go quickly back. So this is a kind of details that is very
Well, yeah, you also have to be careful with your front foot, right? You can't just, you have to lift the front foot and step enough to make it believable, but not step too much, because then you're too far forward, and when they do come, you get hit, right? So
yeah. So
it's difficult.
So everybody has got his system to make the provocation, but let's say that you can do the provocation in every way you want. You have just to provoke the reaction of your opponent. So I'm not telling you in order to provoke you have to do this and that, because otherwise you are too easy detectable, like some fencer or some schools that you know one and you know all of them. It's I don't make any name, I don't make any nation, so I'm not trying to criticize any kind of nations or theories, but I'm just saying that you make your provocation, your opponent is not reacting like you expect, because your expectation is you want that your opponent is attacking on your preparation in order to do the parry reports, and your opponent is not reacting. Or even your opponent, instead of attacking and extending his arm, is going to parry, or is moving backward, or is not moving. And so in that case, you have to be careful and to be sure what is the plan number B. And it has to be pretty quick, because you cannot leave the initiative to your opponent because it's too much. It's quite important to keep the initiative and keep on doing something in order to keep your opponent busy and to be reacting with some delay. If you are the first one to move, you have to know what comes next, and you have to keep the initiative, because this way your opponent will have to fit into your fencing. And this is, let's say, the key point in order to have much more possibility to score and to have an advantage. So I step forward, my opponent is not reacting. If he's not reacting, one option is, okay, I make the invitation, no reaction, I can try to hit him somewhere, which can be, it can be the chest, it can be the thigh, it can be the foot, and this way you can still avoid to think too much, oh my God, what I'm going to do now, if your opponent is not attacking me. Because sometimes nothing is more, let's say, useful than to make a feint straight and a hit straight. So I am extending my arm, no reaction, I hit straight. So this is an option that can work sometimes, and it can be helpful. In that case, your second option is I am stepping forward, no reactions. Okay, I can, if I am sufficiently far away from my opponent, I can pretend to fake an attack in order to see his next reaction. So I'm stepping forward like this. I'm inviting my opponent to attack me. My opponent doesn't react. I fake an attack forward. My opponent has got 2 options or 3 options. He can attempt to parry because he's a defender. He likes to defend. So this way, an option can be try to detect or to see in advance his parry in order to do a feint straight disengage at a relatively close distance in order to hit the chest, foil, typical foil actions. The other options is to force your opponent to parry, and against his parry, still being able to do a remise before that is doing the riposte. This is an option in case your opponent is an épée fencer and he doesn't know how to do very quick parry riposte, but this is always relative. The thing is, it's important to detect the parry of your opponent in order to find the possibility, once your blade is parried, the easiest way to replace the point, either in the same line, either in different line, and quicker, and cutting the distance. Because if, let's say, I am attacking at a relative close distance, now we are talking about foil distances, and my opponent is parrying, and his parrying is pretty big. If I cut the distance, he won't have the possibility to do a riposte because I already cut the distance, and if he extends his arms or try to place the point, it will be too late. There is no space anymore to hit.
Yeah, so if the distance is nice and short, the parry's big, the point will be quite steep.
Yeah.
Right, and it get in nice and tight. Try to get under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a foil and this is an épée actions, because we are talking about a relatively close distance.
Yep.
Other options is the distance is not that close, or is not that close because either I didn't step enough forward in my invitation, either my opponent has been doing one step backward because he has got still the possibility to move backward.
Yep.
So this is another option. In that case, your target of your second intention movement, like a feint straight disengage or remise, is not anymore the chest, but it's the advanced target, which can be the forehand, it can be the thigh, it can be the foot. So still there are absolutely many options. And this is another possibility. Then another possibility is that my opponent is at the moment that I try to extend my arm, instead of parrying, he can extend his arm because of 2 reasons. Why? Because he is not able to avoid the double, and he is provoking the double hit without knowing that he's doing a double hit. But you have always to be careful that when he's leading with the points, you shouldn't cut the distance that much, because the possibility to score double hits is more useful for your opponent than for you. It's easier. So I can provoke as an opponent nice double hits, and the attacker cannot realize that I'm doing that on purpose. And in the meantime, the score is going forward. You are feeling yourself so unlucky, but it's not actually a matter of luck. It's a matter of being able to play the doubles with a very good technique. So let's say that my opponent, he will extend his arm when after my invitation, I am extending my arm. So here I'm extending my arm. In the moment that I'm extending my arm, my opponent is attacking me. Okay, this is an option. In that case, if you want to score a single hit, you have to delay a little the speed of execution of your arm extended, because by the time you are extending the arm, your opponent is watching your movement, and once he reacts faster, you've got still the possibility at half extension of your arm to parry and to do this kind of parry in opposition, which they can be also pretty effective. And still, you as a fencer, you've got the possibility, which is not necessarily a typical parry in opposition. Once you extend your arm and your opponent is extending the arm trying to attack you straight, you can still duck or avoid the hit and score a single hit. Yeah, the options, there are many, but it's important not to fall into the trap of your opponent 5 consecutive times, or to repeat the same mistakes. If you are hitting the same way as a fencer, you should be able, let's say, to realize that something is wrong with you, and you are not unlucky because you are always hitting the same way. So you should make a good analysis about your action and the reaction of your opponent, and to try to find a solution yourself. Don't expect that your coach is behind you telling you what to do, because there isn't the time. There is absolutely the time, and you should be objective enough in order to see action, reaction, and counteraction, which is one of the best characteristics of an épée fencers, or any fencers, not necessarily an épée fencers.
But now we're talking about like analysis in the bout. That's a pretty high level skill, right? And that has to be developed over Absolutely. A long period, right? But
yeah,
the lessons have to be pedagogical. The fencer has to think about it, reflect on it, look at their fights, look at their bouts, do their pair exercises, all these things, right? To develop that skill, because that's not something you just...
No, absolutely. It is not that after 3 years of fencing, suddenly I appear in the fencing club and they say, oh, let's talk about action and reaction. No, because it's too late. If I have got the chance to work with my pupils on a regular basis, and I'm starting from scratch, and if I'm starting from scratch, forget that I'm going to start with épée, I'm going to start with foil, because it's a bit more easier regarding the target. What I will do as a coach, I will start, let's say, with the contact of the blade, and one of the first things I'm doing is training my students to realize what is going on and to do the counter reaction to my action. It means that if we are with the blade like this, I'm not telling my student what he has to do. So if I am detaching the blade like this, he should be able to extend his arm and to attack me, as a matter of fact. If I am pushing the blade on one side, he should be able to attack me by disengage.
Yep.
If, let's say, I am, let's say, stepping backward, an invitation, he should be able to step forward with the arm extended and to hit me with the lunge, followed by a disengage or a hit straight. So it is something like, it's important to train these visual reactions, that they have to come at the very beginning, when you are teaching your students how to hit with the lunge and how to hit the chest, because otherwise the children, they don't realize what they have to do and when they have to do. So let's say, if I tell him, look, if I'm doing this movement, I'm inviting you in the line of quart. What should you do? I'm not telling him what he should do, but he has to find the solution himself, and then he will make mistakes before that he recognizes what he has to do. But in the meantime, the process is working. And by the time we are switching into épée, if he's interested in épée, then his speed of reactions will be automatical, and he will try to do the right things at the right moment without any need for me to tell him. For sure, there is always somebody faster than him. But once he realizes the principle, he will find all these situations in order to have the possibility to play at least 3 or 4 different solutions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's learning through play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also problem solving. And that's what they need to do all the time.
Yeah, because you know, something that not always the people realize is if I am fighting at 5 hits, before winning, I can still make 4 mistakes, and I have just to to force my opponent to make 5 mistakes. So, and if I am fencing until 15 touches, well, it means that I can also make still 14 mistakes and still being able to win. So once I make a mistake, I should immediately realize which kind of mistakes I am doing, fixing, and to avoid to repeat the same mistake for another 14 times.
Okay, so let's now relate it back to the subject we started with, right?
Okay.
You're making your half step forward with your, I don't know, 6th invitation or octave invitation.
Yeah.
Your opponent doesn't do anything. Now all those lessons all the way from the first one where you're solving the problem of pressure and hitting, now those problem solving skills come into operation, right?
Yeah. So what I have been doing during the lessons should help my students to react immediately to the reaction of the opponent in that particular close distance.
Yep.
And it is something like to play paper, scissors, and stone. In that case, the reaction has to be fast because you have to look in advance the first movement of your opponent and to detect and to change at the very last moment, which is...
You can, I mean, there are some things that can help, right? Like if you're in a pool, for example, you could have watched the opponent beforehand.
Absolutely.
And sort of figure out, do they like to counterattack? Do they like to step back and hit people on the hand? Are they fast and tall? So when you make a mistake, do they come in, right? Do they attack directly and very fast?
Absolutely. This is common for every kind of weapons you are practicing.
Yeah,
it's very important to have the chance to observe your opponent before when he's fencing other fencers, and also to make some quick analysis together with your coach, if you are lucky enough to have your coach coming with you to the competitions, and to see whether he is scoring by attacking, whether he is scoring by defending, what is his best position on the piste where he can score his successful hits. Because, you know, through a very careful analysis of the fencers, you can realize the best place for them where they are comfortable to hit. There are some high-level fencers that they are always used to hit in a special place of the piste, which can be, they can score the hit at the very last meter. They can score the hit in the last meter of the opponent. They can score the hit in the center. through a very careful analysis, you can always see exactly what is the perfect place for the opponent to stay, and where he is comfortable to fence and where he is uncomfortable to fence. And normally you should always be being so unpleasant to force him to stay in the places that he doesn't like or he feels uncomfortable. If he's feeling uncomfortable, then he's distracted by other element and he cannot concentrate on his hits, and he will have to follow your game and not his game.
Well, hopefully also be a bit stressed, and then if you've correctly identified their best hit, if they're under stress, under pressure, if it's 4-all or 14-all, and you get them in that position, odds are they're going to go for their strongest hit.
Yeah.
And if you already know what it is,
then it's a very easy job. Yeah. But,
wow.
but this sounds so easy, but believe me, this is happening most of the time. And also some of the best fencers, once the best hit doesn't work, they go totally berserk, and they forget exactly what is going on, and they repeat exactly their own best hit, which unfortunately in that particular moment is not working because it has been already detected. And so I just want to tell something a bit funny, but it's very important. There are some fencers that I know very well, that they are a bit full of themselves, and they are posting on YouTube a lot of videos where they are fencing, and they are showing how good they are, or which kind of nice hits they perform and something like that. Okay, they can do it, but what has been happening most of the time is by showing this video on YouTube, the people, they can detect absolutely the way they are scoring these hits. They've got the possibility to study these hits at home together with the coaches, and after the successful hit, they're not working anymore. So at a special moment, one of these fencers, I'm not making names, started to delete these videos from YouTube because he started to lose.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these days everyone has videos of everyone, right? There's very few secrets. So
yeah, but there are still some people that they don't want to be recorded during the fights, and I don't know whether this right is possible or not. But if they are public people in the World Championship on a World Cup, I am afraid that they cannot stop people by recording them because it's normal. It's normal. And I have seen many national coaches that they've got their own personal computer with a lot of videos, and before an important match, they are just watching these typical fencer in many videos. They try to find a strategy. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not working, but this is the nice part of fencing.
Yeah. So if we're going to sum up, if you come up with your plan, you step forward your preparation, it doesn't always work. Yeah. Okay. But not to panic. You should already know what to do.
Exactly.
All right. So now we're preparing for our preparation not to work.
Yes, because once you do something, you can expect that your opponent is reacting. You can expect that your opponent is reacting in a way that you were not expecting. Yeah. But if your opponent would be successful, then you shouldn't panic. You shouldn't say, oh my God, oh my God. You should analyze what you have been doing and to try to create the same action again, but with a different ending, or with a different distance, or with a different reason.
Yep.
And these
or if you could take enough initiative,
yeah,
down the end of the piece, where they have to do something.
Yes.
I mean, some people, if you're provoking them or threatening them in the middle of the piece, they go back, they step forward, you haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't think that if your opponent has got a foot inside the piste and a foot outside the piste because his hand is feeling uncomfortable. Sometimes he's driving you until the last end of the piste in order to attack you when he sees that you are doing a mistake because you have been coming too close. And in case of counterattack, you won't be able to parry anymore or to do another action.
That's now we're talking psychology in fencing, right? Some attackers really hate to be at their opponent's 2-meter area, right? Because they feel a lot of pressure. I'm here, I must score. That's not true. And some defenders love to defend down there, and some hate it.
Yeah, some psychologically speaking, well, now I am entering in a kind of domain that is not mine because I'm not a psychologist, but I can see some behavior. Some people, they need to be put under pressure in order to react at their best. Otherwise, if they are not under stress, they are not reacting very well. So sometimes some good fencers, they need to be, let's say, 4-2 down in order to find the personal strength in order to win 5-4. It's crazy, but this possibility, it is also real. And if you are winning 4-2, it doesn't mean that you're going to win. It's because you are still to score the last hit. And you shouldn't be feeling very safe because still the problem can happen.
Yep. All right. So I think we're going to end it there. A little tour around what can be done in fencing. And well, I'll see you later on.
Okay, I thank you for this opportunity to have the chance to discuss and to chat and to have a friendly conversation. And I greet everybody and see you again.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.